Despite a never-ending barrage of anti-Iranian propaganda attempting to label the country as a global threat, new figures listing the world's most militarized nations have been released which paint a very different picture to the one that corporate media and Zionist politicians would have you believe. According to the latest figures from the Bonn International Center for Conversion, top of the chart of the world's most militarized nations is, yep, you've guessed it, Israel. Now, it won't be a surprise to learn that Israel, which has carried out a 45-year occupation of Palestinian lands and Syrian territory, has topped the list almost every year for the past 20 years. Okay, so Israel might just be the most dangerous nation in town, but surely Iran is up there too, right? I mean, the corporate media and Zionist politicians wouldn't make a big deal about Iran based on nothing, right? And those guys would never lie to us. So, based on the level of corporate media propaganda, we should expect to find the evil and terrifying Iran right next to Israel on the chart, right? Nope. Well, at least in the top 5, Iran is actually listed at number 34, just ahead of Yemen and just below Angola. In fact, almost every other Near Eastern country is more heavily militarized than the Islamic Republic. The United States has ranked at number 29 and China at 84. Singapore ranks second, followed by Syria, Russia, Jordan, and then Cyprus. Now, while Israel repeatedly claimed to be a victim as they terrorize the Palestinian people by committing war crimes and dropping literally hundreds of bombs on the civilians over the course of a few days, they're also guilty of waging a long-running propaganda war against Iran, and one that politicians and the corporate media are only too happy to comply with. For example, earlier this year, Iranian news broadcaster Press TV was famously banned from British television, and more recently the EU blocked 19 Iranian radio and TV stations. Now, should the corporate media decide to report the truth about Israel, it will be shown to be a bully and one that is free to terrorize and kill civilians with impunity from international law. In a recent statement by Professor Noam Chomsky, he correctly points out that the insurgent and bombardment of Gaza is not about destroying Hamas, it is not about stopping rocket firing to Israel, it is not about achieving peace. The Israel decision to rain death and destruction on Gaza, to use lethal weapons of the modern battlefield on a largely defenseless civilian population, it is the final phase in a decades-long campaign to ethnically cleanse Palestinians. Israel uses sophisticated attack jets and naval vessels to bomb densely crowded refugee camps, schools, apartment blocks, mosques and slums, to attack a population that has no air force, air defense, no navy, no heavy weapons, no artillery units, no mechanized army, no command and control, no army, and calls it a war. It's not a war, it is murder. When Israelis in the occupied territories now claim that they have to defend themselves, they are defending themselves in the sense that any military occupier has to defend itself against the population they are crushing. You can't defend yourself when you're military occupying someone else's land. It's not defence. Call it what you like, that's not defence. Well, that's all from me for today, and as always, check the facts for yourself, do your own research, question everything, and verify that everything you've been presented with here and elsewhere is the truth. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.